subhanahu wa ta'ala now in Suratul Baqarah describes our wives as earth. It's a farmland. A woman is a farmland if she's married, and the man is a farmer. Allahu Akbar. But then again, the relationship that we want to establish, which may not be very comfortable for many women, especially educated women, is that of ownership. If Allah says, and we have read that long ago, that an-nisa'ukum arthun lakum, your wives are your farmlands. It means you are a farmer, the farmer owns his farm. Here, Allah says what men are wired to covet, to desire. Number one on the list is women, followed by sons, followed by gold and silver, money, plenty of money, followed by branded horse, well-branded horse, well-fed horse, beautiful, strong cars. Number 5, wal-an'am, cattle. Number 6, farmland. Now, the issues that are thrown up in this list are, like I said, psychosocial and spiritual issues. Psychosocial and spiritual issues. Spiritual is the first. Allah created us. So he knows how he has wired us. Anybody that disputes this list is only living in denial. And that person may not be intelligent enough to know that there is no dispute in this list. And it is this list that throws up the problems. Allah starts with women. Spiritually, Allah created men and then women. And we are told that he created Adam, and from him, he created his wife, Hawa. And Allah says it's a sign. It's a sign that he created for you from yourself, your wives. Again, he says you too. In Suratul, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, one of his signs is that أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا, that he created from you your spouse. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, to find happiness, to find repose, to rely on them, to live with them. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, and to place between you love and mercy. Allah concludes, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. In these are signs for those who reflect. In other words, this issue of man-woman relationship has been explained. But what world intellectuals fail to understand is that a man exists to look for women. A man exists and lives and struggles only because of women. Remove women in his calculation, a man comes back to zero. And this is what psychologists call libido, for want of the correct terminology to use. Psychologists have told us that libido is the cause of anger. It is the drive for war. It is also the drive, motivation for work. It is the reason we love. It is the reason we hate. It is the reason we fight. And it is the reason we relate. It is the reason, it is the reason we struggle. 7 things. Libido is the reason for love, is the reason for struggle, is the reason for hatred, is the reason for conflict, it is the reason for work, to walk. It is the reason to war, to fight a war. And it is the reason to relate with people. A man will not struggle if there is no desire inside him to satisfy his libido. Therefore, every man wants a woman. So there are two issues here. The first is libido. This libido will also generate the second issue. A man is living in pursuit of his libido, and this libido is only satisfied in a woman. So the first thing in the mind of any man as he's growing is a woman. He wants a woman. Every man wants a woman. Now, in order to have this woman, he needs two things. One from the woman, the other for the woman. Let me repeat. A man, in order to express his libido, needs a woman to express the libido. Then, in order to get this woman, he needs two things. One for the woman, the second from the woman. And this is the constituent of the list. Number one, woman that he wants. Number two, sons that he wants from her. He wants the woman to give him sons that will be workforce, that will be evidence of his power, evidence of his completeness, evidence of his domineering attitude, evidence of his dominion, evidence of his victory, evidence that he is really a man. A man wants to see his replica called children, and he prefers male children. But in order to get these male children, he needs a woman to give him the male children. So that is the second thing he needs from the woman. But the first thing that he needs to get the woman is for the woman, money. He needs money in order to get the woman for the purpose of getting the woman. In other words, this is the list. The woman that is the prime object of the pursuit of the man. Look at when we are in school, the brilliant children want to be on top of the class always so that the girls will be pursuing him. He will have choices to make because first, the girls will want him to teach them, and every girl wants to relate with every boy of the moment. So the boy will be on top because he wants to impress the girls. Similarly, a man wants something to make it easy for him to have a woman with whom he will enjoy libido. So we have mentioned all the 7 things that psychologists tell us libido drives. Libido drives love. It is because you want to have sex that you love a woman. You don't love a woman for nothing. You are married because you want to have sex. You want to enjoy libido. Otherwise, apart from that, there is nothing a woman is looking for in another man's house that she cannot get in her father's house, apart from libido. And then, apart from libido, and the children that may come out of the libido, which is the primary desire of the man, there is nothing any other person cannot give a man. In fact, we know that men are usually better cooks than women. Men are better chefs than women. What is it? To have a companion? Sometimes a man will prefer a man as a companion, as an advisor, because men are not usually emotional. They are therefore sometimes more clear-headed than some women, not all women. We are talking about average. So it is libido. And the children that will come out of libido are responsible libido. That's the reason we marry. Now, this man may argue that he needs money. But when he gets the money, what will he use the money to do? An average man, believer or non-believer, wants to enjoy life with his money. And the first means of enjoyment is woman. So we have this issue of woman being the drive. Libido is the reason a man pursues a woman. And children is the reason they want to enjoy libido so as to prove a point. And money is what they will spend to get the woman. Number 4. Number 4 is evidence of power. The power that you're pursuing with your car, people call it euphemistically. I wonder whether there are people who don't speak English, who don't speak Yoruba. A car is called Ogwamudo among the youth, among the Yorubas. When we were growing, they used to call a car owner Ologwamudo. Now, that is it. You want to impress a woman with your, what do you call it? With your wealth, with your car. And then what we sustain the money, what we make the money inexhaustible are the other things. The cattle and the farm. From the beginning of time till tomorrow, even if the devil changes the world several times over, it cannot change it to the extent that agro-business will not be the business to grow wealth, or to create it, or to grow it. So all this, when you look at life before now, the wives and children of our forefathers were farm hands, free labor. The reason they marry many wives primarily is so that they have free labor. These wives will have many children. They won't have to hire laborers. They won't have to pay to get productive on the farm. So you can see the connection. The second issue of libido is the necessity, the natural necessity for polygamy. A man does not just like a woman. Any man that says he does not like polygamy is either sick or poor. Any man that opposes polygamy is either sick or poor. If you're not sick, then naturally a woman is not enough for a man. Look at it in the animal nature. When you put a male animal on a farm with only a female, the male does not do well. Indeed, after some time, he starts growing big and stop mating. The ram, we consider the sheep as a ram, so it will not mate. And there will be no productivity. It will not die at least 2 so that he will do well. In the same way, a man naturally wants variety. A man is tired. At any rate, it starts from the beginning. When a man marries and is so luckily unlucky that within months, the wife becomes pregnant. If he never committed zina before he marries, that pregnancy is a distraction, is a disturbance, is a cause of conflict. Most few months beginning blues in marriages are caused by distraction, disturbance, and stoppage of libido. You marry, you start enjoying yourself, and suddenly you can't enjoy again because of morning sickness. It doesn't work. Then the man that has been enduring a woman and is incapacitated by many factors to marry a second wife, he does not know that the constant quarrel is as a result of this limitation on his libido, this constraint that he cannot get variety. Most men don't know. That is why we agree with the psychologists that the cause of conflict is libido. The cause of war is libido. That is why when soldiers go to war, they take women as slaves, even Muslim soldiers, and the slave girls are halal for the soldiers. So libido, you find that a woman who does not have anybody to compete with, naturally too, inside the woman, she knows that she's a complement to the man. She knows also that she's the source of enjoyment, reliance, confidence for the man. But when a woman does not have a second to compete with, she starts competing with her mother-in-law or her daughter. It is natural. Just as it is natural for a man to seek variety in women, it is also natural for women to be jealous and to compete with other women. As our daughter is growing, so does she become jealous, because it's natural. So if you want your wife to stop fighting your mother or your daughter, marry a second wife so that she has a competitor. And this one brings out their best and their worst. This is the way Allah has created them. A woman who is alone may not care about her bedroom, about her living room. These three places, apart from kitchen, that will be a mess. But once there is another wife, there is competition. Our personal body, our kitchen, our living room, our bedroom, our toilet will be clean, because there is another woman who is watching for these four and who is competing with her. So you find this relationship. This is the reality. This is the reality of the way we are wired. Libido drives everything in a man. And the ability of the man to provide healthy competitor for the woman drives competence, drives excellence in the woman, although it also brings up the worst from the woman. But then it sharpens the intelligence of the man. It gives him a sense of judgment and justice, and it calms him down. He becomes patient. He has broader mind, broader view of life, and is quite stable psychologically. A man that is married to only one woman and does not have personal or cognitive experience of varieties of behaviors of women may not be a good leader. Once he hears one side of a view, he doesn't have the opportunity to know that there are many mischievous sides of every issue in life. It is only in multiplicity of women that you can get all this. Now, I want to stop. I want to summarize what I've been discussing, because I want to get it from you too. The summary of our conversation tonight is that all these 6 items are directly related and they are interwoven. And this is the unconscious drive in men, the desire for women is what makes the man to look for money. And the children that will come from the women also drives him to look for money. So libido makes you work hard. If you love women so much, the fact that you are married to 1, 2, 3 would definitely make you work harder. Apart from other advantages, it is this desire for libido in a woman and desire for children that the woman will give you that drives your desperation for money. Then you use the money to buy right, and you invest the money in agriculture, animal, and plantation. This is the summary. However, there are other issues. Number one, are women not human beings? Allah says, for mankind, they are. But in my view, I believe that both are relatively honored. If, as a man, I'm driven by desire for a woman to work hard, to struggle, to pursue that woman, in what way is the woman not more important than me? She is the reason I am working. She is the one that will collect my earning. She's the reason I want a child. And she's the one that produced these children. Her presence is a subtle blackmail for righteous action. She's the reason I'm a teacher. She's not inferior to me. It throws up this issue of gender equality. There is no gender equality, but there is gender equity. So this ayah tells us that there is no way we can use this ayah to say that women are just like the possessions of men. One reason that knocks this view out is the second item on the list. Your sons, are they your properties? Like your money, your house, your cattle, and your farmland? Are they your properties? So you cannot say that, why did Allah rank women as number one property among money, cattle, and farm? No. She is the drive for the remaining. And so she's equally important in her own right. While you work for her, you look for her, you run after her, she waits for you. Why you now go out and work to make her happy, she waits for you to give you the happiness. Because you can't be happy if you don't make another person happy. And whether we want to deny it or not, it is this same libido. If a man has all the money and can make all the money available to the woman, and is either not coming around for sex, or is not doing it well, or is not doing it regularly, then the man has got 50% of care and 0% of love. Yeah, love is not the same thing as care, but the two can go together. Sometimes, if there is love, there may be care. Care, rahma, is from the man. Love is between the man and the woman. Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And it places between you love and mercy. So love and care. If you care for the woman and you don't make her happy by doing it well, because again, every woman desires a child. And she thinks that the child will come from love making. If there is no love making, That's why you call it love making. We make love, not Valentine love. You must understand that the woman is equally important. When you now marry more than one, you are throwing yourself into the labor market, into seriousness. You are reducing distraction because you are focused on your own. And so you become the best manager of your resources because there are women and children in your house that will take whatever you earn, so you cannot afford to be lazy. All these I've said, they are the ideals. But what is the reality? The reality is that we calculate, we fear, we dodge, we deny, and so we have unending conflicts and perpetual troubles and crises. What do? We calculate that we have been educated in an educated person's house. One, the house must be a flat. Even if the cost of renting a flat for 1 year, 2 years, for 10 years, may build 2-3 rooms in a particular place. But our school has made us to feel that we must live in a particular place because our schooling determines our job. So once your school determines your job and the job does not pay, it's a salary, you base your income and your life on this salary. So the first question is to marry second wife upon what? And the school makes you feel that you are a Christian, although you don't admit it, you deny it. As an educated person, a graduate, to marry second wife, why? What will people say? Am I going to behave like my parents? It doesn't matter whether the polygamy of your parents failed. And I'm not even sure that it failed. If you are this successful, your parents' polygamy did not fail. So we deny. We deny the fact that we want it. We speak against it. We say it's not good. We look at the failures and use the failures as a platform to condemn it. Everything about it is based on our schooling. This is not to say that, however, it is what joins with you in the primordial existence that will join with you in the earthly existence, according to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah asks us to join with one another. And the number of women that join with the men will be their wives on this earth. We are not saying there is no Qur'an, but we are saying don't let us poke Qur'an. Don't let us violently provoke Qur'an, so that you won't experience failure that will make you regret, the regret that will make you to almost become a kafir. Because once you experience failure in an halal venture, Shaitan makes you to want to say, perhaps this thing is not good. Perhaps Allah does not want us to do these things. Perhaps it is not meant for us. Perhaps, and perhaps, and perhaps. But the truth and the fact is that this is the way you are wired. I want to stop here tonight. We continue on this conversation next week with the next ayah. And if you're able to tidy them together, we go to another ayah and take a model of a woman without a husband, but with a son. Maryam, inshallah ta'ala, I want to hear your own voice too. Or you ask me question, I full ground. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Yeah, what about a man who possesses very low libido and doesn't feel incompetent? In fact, is directly opposite of what I'm saying tonight. Sexually zero, financially not responsible. We have cases like that. These are extreme men. For example, low libido will make you take care of your health. High libido will make you take care of your wealth. Let me repeat, low libido will drive the man to pursue his health. Usually empty-headed men, very stupid men, are the men that have low libido and they are still harassing people. I have cases like that in Abuja. This man can hardly meet a woman every day. It has to be once in a week, and he married second wife. I don't want to talk about a particular case because somebody who knows the person is on this platform. You know, this person was assisted to even do a little. He's lucky, he's fertile. Anytime he's able to do it, the wife gets pregnant, and he doesn't do it more than 2-3 times a year. In order to cover himself, he stupidly married a second wife. And then he's into serious crisis now. So there are men like that. Sometimes it is due to drug abuse. Sometimes it is due to spiritual problem. But their arrogance, and let me say, arrogance is an evidence of stupidity. Arrogance is an evidence of stupidity. So if you don't have high libido, a man that cannot at least make a woman happy every day, except during menstruation, is not qualified to marry second wife. Because this thing is like food. There are men like that. They are low in libido, but they are high in greed. Greed, just greed. May Allah save us from such men. Yeah, that you have high libido and you're able to take care of your family, but you are not particularly interested in polygamy. There is no problem. There is no problem. The reason you will marry only one wife due to your father may be lack of interest. It may be lack of time. It may be lack of money. It may be inability to be emotionally balanced, just, and fair. There are men who have high libido, right? But then they have the capacity, but they are emotionally unstable. So that when they marry second wife, they get lost. It's like they are like babies, like children. When they buy a new toy, they throw away the old one until the new toy gets damaged. They won't come back to look for the old toy. So these kind of men, they are disasters in polygamy, but it does not make polygamy wrong for them. It means it is their quota to marry many wives, but it is their failure to manage them well. So a man that is destined to marry only one wife, it may be because he will not have interest. It may be because the first wife will die, he will marry another one. The second wife may divorce him, he will marry another one. At any point in time, he will have only one wife. He will not have more than one wife in his house. Whereas A man that will marry many wives, he may be marrying them 2, 3 at a time, and one will go, he will replace him, he will replace her. Another one will die, he will replace her. So if he is going to have 8 wives, like Umar ibn Khattab, he will have 8 wives, whether through divorce, death, or anything. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Yeah. Anyone in the house to raise hand? We still have up to 22 minutes, up to 12 minutes. We have up to 12 minutes. Our regulars are not talking. Abrazak Abiy Adedaya on Saturday. Bolo.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi, sir.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, it's me, Shamsuddin Alade Farm.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, I enjoy your lecture. So, what's the right time for somebody to marry second wife? The right time to marry second wife?
Okay. I hope you are not asking this question for yourself, because you know how I will deal with it.
Not for you.
You better confess that it's not for you first before I answer.
It's not for me. It's for people because that
it's even late for you.
Sir?
It's late for you, sir.
And libido is too good, though.
Old man like you.
I like you. Please allow Prof to answer.
You might have your global mirror. Yeah, I will call you Baba Rugo that mommy calls you now. Yeah, honestly, strictly, there is no right time for anything that has to do with marriage. The right time is when you are matured, when you have the capacity to satisfy the woman. It is libido that can satisfy a woman, and when you have the financial wherewithal to manage polygamy, and you have the psychological ability to receive the shock and manage women. It's not possible for any woman, no matter how saintly she is, it's not possible for any woman not to be jealous. It's not possible for 2 women not to fight. It's not possible. It doesn't make her a devil. It only makes her a human being. If our mothers, Aisha, Hafsa, could be jealous and they could fight, I mean, there's no big deal about it. But the right time is when you have all these capacities, 4 of them. You are mature enough, you have the physical wherewithal, you have the psychological wherewithal, you have the emotional wherewithal. And none of this is more important than the other. The 4 are equally important. And you cannot remove any of it. Because, I don't know, except if anybody thinks that there is one thing that we can remove. At any point in time, when you have the physical capacity to satisfy women, when you have the financial capacity to take care of women, when you have the emotional capacity, psychological capacity, you can manage women without crashing, without crushing. Many people do it out of greed. I say it's their quota. But there's no man that doesn't have that greed. Every woman loves women. But if you know yourself and Allah loves you and it is not your quota, then you manage one woman. So it is not merit that you marry one wife. It's not merit at all. It doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't. It only makes you a manager. You are only enduring. It is not that those who marry more than one, they are not worse than you. You are not better than them. Wallahu alam. Adedaya Razak. tí ò bá sí ń bẹ̀, Professor Nurat Olamide.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam to the Professor.
Jazakallahu khairan.
Wa iyyak.
My question is, what will be the reason why a man that could finance a second wife would decide to take girls around instead of marrying as he's supposed to?
Well, such situations arise. Sometimes when we are faced with this situation, we find that it is the fear of the wife that makes such a man not to marry, but to commit zina. Sometimes somebody told me that he does not impose responsibility on him to have girlfriends. He was telling me in a mosque at Italek in Abeokuta, we were preparing for a nikah, and I said, and you think you can say this in the presence of your wife? He called the wife and asked her whether she didn't know all his girlfriends, and the wife said she knew all the girlfriends. As long as they are not coming to marry him, she has no problem with that. There are very many funny situations like that. So if the wife doesn't want it, a stupid man will not rather commit zina. But a strong man would threaten divorce if the woman refuses, because the woman has no stake in polygamy. I repeat, woman has no stake. A man doesn't need the permission of his wife to marry second wife. She only needs information and mobilization, cajoling and assurance. You have no right to say you are not permitting your husband to marry second wife. In fact, that attitude will push the man out. And a strong man will not do it. A strong man will dare you. So I've answered the second question now, that what about where a woman understands Messina, blah, 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 blah. You need to assure her she's afraid. She's afraid. What we seem to be hearing is that Messina failed everywhere, but it's not true. It's not true.
Assalamu
alaikum. Alaikum salam.
Sir, you were talking of equality and equity.
Yes.
Can you explain a little, sir?
I said there is no equality because our responsibilities are not the same. A man cannot be pregnant. She cannot suckle a child. But a woman is not expected to work and feed the wife and children. It is the man that should work and spend money. It is the woman that will manage the money. So that is equity. To each according to his needs. To each according to our needs. So there is no equality between husband and wife, but there's equity. Even when you marry 2, 3, 4, for example, there are equality and equity in material care. And when we go to a point, the material care will now require equity. Let's give you an example. You cannot marry a tall, fat woman and a short, thin woman and give the two of them 5 years of clothes each. And you are saying you are doing equality. This is material. It must be equity to each according to her needs. If the tall, fat woman requires 10 years, you give her 10 years. And if 5 years will be enough for the other woman, you give her 5 years. What will she do with 10 years? There is no equity, there is no justice there. there is no justice in equality in that place. Now, there is equality up till time and emotional satisfaction. Now, you give each wife a day. You today, you tomorrow, you next tomorrow, you next tomorrow. Now, when you now get to the wife, if she is one that is satisfied with once in a week and one round, that is what she needs. If you get to second wife and she wants 3 rounds, you cannot say, how can you ask for 3 rounds? You won't kill me. If it takes you to take drugs, you must take drugs. Because that is what she needs. You must go 3 rounds. That is equity. Wallahu ta'ala alam. The wife should be his priority. But a man that believes that his extended family comes first, I have no advice. I must tell him that it is his wife that should be his priority. The Prophet was asked by a man to advise him. He said, I have 1 dirham. Who should I give? The Prophet said, your wife. So if I have another, he said, your daughter. If I have another, your son. If I have another, your mother. If I have another, your father. If I have another, your sister. If I have another, your brother. If I have another, your aunt. If I have another, your uncle. And he said, okay. You can see that extended family comes last. Wife comes first. So that person is an ignoramus. He doesn't know anything. Allah is not going to ask him about his extended family. Allah is going to ask him about his wife primarily. You give your wife, your mother will get. You give your wife, your children will get. You give your wife, members of the extended family will get. But you don't start from them. Your father's, as long as he lives. And you don't start from your father. It's not your responsibility. Indeed, until you. I was a widow. I remarried to someone who has a wife, but only spent 2 days in a month with me. I never care about my feeding, nor my children. I want to come out of the marriage because I'm mentally disturbed. Well, these things happen. Most people that marry widows or divorcee maltreat them because initially, what happens that we hear in the North, what we think, what we frequently find is that the divorcee or the widow makes the man to think that he is doing her a favor by marrying her. And sometimes when they marry divorcee or widow, their first wife now carpets them. There is something we call kaya mata in the North here. Once they give the man will forget the second wife and there will be trouble. So we frequently find these situations. But sometimes we find that it is the widow that nags the new husband. And the new husband may not be able to confront her. He will run away. We say, don't kill me the way you kill your husband. We have seen that one. As for the divorcee, they will say, oh, this is the way you behave that made your first husband drive you away. Either way, a widow and a divorcee are vulnerable. It takes the taqwa of Allah for a man to marry a widow or a divorcee and treat her well. Sometimes they quickly forget that they were the ones that made the man want to marry them. And they start behaving in a way, they start protesting and so on. Sometimes I don't know where you're coming from. In the North, yeah. Sometimes they will go to Boka. Boka is the Hausa Babalawo, to do juju against the first wife. The first wife will also go and get counter juju. And this counter juju will now make the husband run away from the divorcee or widow. Sometimes the divorcee wins. There's a particularly bad case. The man is a preacher, is a dyer. The divorcee made him to drive away, to divorce and throw the things and the children of the first wife. The first wife had 4 children for him, and he threw her away and her children. The day he was doing it, his elder brother called me. I was not able to do anything. Up to now, the divorcee is the only one at home, and the man is living miserable life, and he can't do anything. His dawah has changed. Wallahu alam. We are not supposed to behave like that. How do you measure this capability of marrying another wife? Is there a forum where men are lectured or groomed for polygyny? Well, this is the forum where we mentor everybody, men and women, on polygyny. Yeah, I'm aware of this question. We have been hearing this question, but most of the time it is women who think that their husbands are just not capable. We cannot measure it. Each person knows what he is capable of doing. So we don't always have answer because it is not always objective. Sometimes you call the wife and husband. The husband will tell us his income, his capability, and so on. The wife will insist that he must rent a house for the second wife. The man will say he has accommodation in his house. The woman will say no. And as long as the man will not rent a house far away for the second wife, the woman will conclude that her husband is not capable. We say this is wrong. This is wrong. You want to kill him? To be traveling about because he is marrying second wife? No. If he can get another room attached to his house, whether it's a 3-bedroom flat or 2, if he can get another room, he has enough space. There is nothing absolutely right in scattering wives. Nothing is absolutely right in scattering your wife. Everything is right to make them live under the same roof. If he doesn't have the emotional and psychological capacity to manage crises, which are normal, then that's a minus. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Yeah, can we close? Let us close. Is the national coordinator there?
Barrister Bakri is still wasting his answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Barrister Bakri. It is 9:36. Barrister Bakri, please.
Okay, a quick one. Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for the lecture, sir. When you mentioned about libido and pregnancy coming in some few months after the solemnization of the Nekai, that it disturbs libido. I quite agree with you to a certain extent. But it will appear our young ones have taken it a bit further now, that when they marry, they are postponing conception till after 5 years. After 5 years, it is something that nobody knows what will happen. What would you have to say? What advice do you have for these our young ones? Because that is what is happening now. They are postponing conception till after 5 years or thereabout.
Thank you very much, lawyer. Thank you very much for bringing it to my notice. I've never heard this before. And I want to say categorically that it is haram. It is haram to postpone conception. Because if Allah brings it, will you abort it? It is haram. It is odious satanic family planning. Let us get to know them so that we can talk to them. It is haram. It is haram. Please, it is haram. As for the last question, a woman not sharing her wealth with her husband because the husband did not assist her when he had. You are not supposed to share your wealth with your husband. If you give him, you just give him. It is not compulsory. It is he who should give you. It is not you who should give her. We should give him. So if you assist him, fine. But if you have reason not to assist him, you have not committed any offense. It's not a sin at all. Wallahu alam. Are we good to go? National coordinator, please.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. We thank you. We thank Allah for the opportunity to be here again tonight and listen to our prof. We pray Almighty Allah to let us benefit from this program. We thank everybody for all the resources and your time you are spending on this. We pray Allah to make it beneficial for us in this world and the hereafter. So we still enjoy us, please, to call more people to come and listen to this. And as we have listened to it, let us spread it. You can use it to save a family, to save somebody's life, so that we are going to have the best of the reward. Jazakumullah khairan. Till next week, inshallah, we still expect us to come and join the Imam. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum salam.
Jazakumullah khair.
ربنا وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واسرافنا في امرنا وثبت اقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين ربنا اتنا في الدنيا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك
لا اله الا انت تقول لي انا ربي السلام على المرسلين والحمد لله
Alhamdulillah.
brother